recusal, Mr. Speaker. Here we have an organization that has paid cash to the Prime Minister's family and given him and other senior Liberals a massive political platform. That organization gets in trouble after gobbling up millions of dollars worth of prime Toronto real estate and breaking their bank covenant. They then lobby the government for a tailor-made program that they will be able to take an administration fee for managing. The government does them even better, comes up with an even bigger program, gives them a sole source contract, and the Prime Minister would have us all believe that this is a massive coincidence. Will the Prime Minister do the right thing, show up and testify at committee?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, during this unprecedented pandemic, we put out billions of dollars to support Canadians, young and old, workers, employers, and entrepreneurs, to make through this particular challenge that is hitting us all extremely hard. We put forward a $9 billion package for students that included deferral of student loans, that included direct support through jobs, through Canada Summer Jobs and jobs in COVID-affected sectors. We've continued to look for ways to encourage volunteerism. We will continue to stay focused on the things that matter to students and to all Canadians.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
So gross and disgusting that this Prime Minister keeps using the pandemic as an excuse for his corruption. The very first act that this Prime Minister did when the pandemic hit was try to give himself unprecedented power and eliminate the role of the opposition in Parliament. And now we know why, Mr. Speaker, because when they're pushing $300 billion worth of deficit out the door, they will stop and take the time to reward their friends. That is the essence of this Liberal Party under this Liberal Prime Minister. I don't even have a question, Mr. Speaker. It's just disgusting.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, one would think that when a House of Commons is about to pass legislation worth over $50 billion to help businesses with an extension of the wage subsidy, that there might be a question from the opposition on that or on anything they want to bring forward. The fact of the matter is we remain focused on giving Canadians the support they need to get through this challenging pandemic. We will look creatively, we will look carefully at different ways of supporting students and elders, and we will keep doing that, Mr. Speaker, for all Canadians.
The Leader of the Opposition.
That's right, Mr. Speaker. Nothing to see here. Just move on. Don't ask any of the tough questions. Tough questions about the relationship with an organization that paid members of his family cash, that took administration fees for running sole source government contracts after breaking their bank covenants and having members of their board resign. Now, the Prime Minister is trying to hide behind the public service on this one, but I'd like to ask him a very simple question. On what basis would the public service have made their recommendation that we was the only organization that could deliver this program?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when we came forward with the idea of supporting young people who would want to be involved and serve their community across the country, we as a government came forward and looked to see young people serving their country. The public service took a look at the ways they could deliver that program and determined that the WE organization was the only one that could deliver that program as ambitious as it was for this summer. That was the recommendation made by the nonpartisan public service. Of course, as I apologized for, I should have recused myself because of the connection with the families, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the public service recommended that organization.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, here's what the Charity Intelligence Watchdog said about that claim. Quote, "I'm not sure how you would assess the charity's track record or capability to do this if they had not previously done such work in the past." His explanation just doesn't hold up. But there are two camps developing in the Liberal Party, Mr. Speaker. On the one hand, we have the Foreign Affairs Minister, who wisely took a barge pole and separated himself from the scandal, saying that it was a mistake and he didn't know anything about it. Then we have the Deputy Prime Minister, who had no problem showing Liberal faithful that she was willing to defend her leader. I would ask the Deputy Prime Minister, what would it take for her to lose confidence in the scandal-plagued Prime Minister?
The Right Honourable Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, every step of the way, our government has been looking to support Canadians through this unprecedented pandemic. Yes, we put out tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars into the pockets of Canadians, workers, families, entrepreneurs, people working all across the country who were challenged with this pandemic. And we looked for ways to support students as well through summer jobs, through creating new jobs in various industries, but also through encouraging volunteerism and service to this country. We will continue to look to ways to support Canadians right across the country through this difficult time.
The
honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Am I bothering anyone? Mr. Speaker, a little while ago, we had a distracting exchange with the Prime Minister with regard to the problems of the Liberal Party and the necessity of the party to improve the wage subsidy. And yesterday in committee, one Liberal MP said that his party or her party was having problems. That's true. Not necessarily for financial reasons, but there are problems. And I think it's because the Prime Minister is crushed under the burden of files which have nothing to do with helping Canadians. Is there any way the Liberal Party will renounce the wage subsidy program? I'd like to reassure the honourable member that the work this government is doing is still focused 100% on Canadians, be it the Safe Restart program with $19 billion going to the provinces and territories, which was signed last week, or the $50 billion for the wage subsidy program, which we are going to pass today in this House. This government will remain focused on the work it must do for Canadians every single day. Mr. Speaker, the honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, you cannot buy your way out of a crisis. Buying a lot does not mean purchasing well. The Prime Minister clearly is very preoccupied, perhaps too preoccupied with other things which have nothing to do with managing this crisis, without presuming of the result of all the investigations of the committees. Should the Prime Minister not temporarily, because clearly he is thinking of other things, step aside for the Deputy Prime Minister to replace him? Mr. Speaker, as I said last week, we signed a historic agreement with the provinces on a safe restart for the economy. And today we are making available more help for businesses. $50 billion will go to businesses with the wage subsidy program. Despite the opposition focusing on one issue in particular, we are working on the issues Canadians care about, and we will keep on delivering support every day for Canadians. The honourable member for Burnaby South. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister has close connections with the We Charity. That's obvious. So why did the Prime Minister not recuse himself when the decision was made to award nearly $1 billion to the We Charity? The Right Honourable the Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, as government, we are there to help young people, seniors, workers, families throughout this crisis. We wanted to help students by creating service opportunities for them, and the Public Service made a recommendation. They recommended that the We Charity be chosen to deliver all of these opportunities for young people across the country. We agreed to the recommendation. Indeed, and I apologize, I should have recused myself because of those connections between my family and the charity.
But apologizing means nothing if the Prime Minister keeps on breaking the rules to help his wealthy friends. Here are the facts. The Prime Minister's family has earned over $300,000 in speaking fees from this organization. We has said that they don't actually normally pay speakers a fee. Now, on top of that, giving $1 billion to create a brand new program makes no sense when there's so many existing ways to help students that are faster and are proven. So will the Prime Minister admit that this was never about helping students and always about helping his wealthy friends?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's a shame to see such cynicism from the NDP in regards to supporting students. We put forward a $9 billion package for students. It included deferral of student loans, creation of new jobs in sectors affected by COVID, enhancing the summer jobs program, and many other things to support students and student organizations. On top of that, we saw an opportunity to encourage service and volunteerism and create opportunities for tens of thousands of young people who want to step up during this pandemic. This is something we believe in deeply and something that this government will continue to work on.
Honourable member for Barrie.